September 11th, 2001 is a day I probably will never forget. I recently got out of the military and I had started going to CSM to study, to go to school. That morning my dad actually woke me up. I was staying with my parents and he said, "Come look at the TV." It was like 6 o'clock in the morning and all I remember is seeing on the TV a replaying of the tower getting hit. It was the South Tower, it was the first tower that got hit. And it's something you'll never forget. You continued watching and you see people jumping out of the building, knowing that they're gonna die, and seeing people rush in to try and get people out of the building. I mean, they're images you won't ever forget, that are ingrained in your memory. On that day, there were a lot of firefighters, police, EMT that weren't able to go home to their families that evening, that were lost, that we remember, that we wear this uniform for on this day.
So the date was September 11, 2001. I've been on the department approximately 1 year at that particular time. I was a brand new officer working in Northeast Area Command. I got dressed that day, got up that morning, went to the Northeast Area Command. I got there early because I was so new. I got dressed while the others, more senior officers, were still inside the locker room getting dressed. I went inside the briefing room and I was sitting there pretty much by myself. We had a really old, large screen TV that was in the, I'll never forget it, left corner of the briefing room. I was sitting there as the first plane hit. And the news aired, the first plane hit, and I kind of froze there. And as I'm watching the news, I actually watched the second plane hit the Twin Towers in New York. And I remember running into the locker room and telling everybody that we had just been attacked, that America had been attacked. And it was so much shock and awe. Everyone kind of ran into the briefing room, and we all stood there, really didn't know what was going to happen next. Throughout that day, there was a lot of panic and chaos with our nation. So being a new officer, we had to restore that calm and that order. I remember being placed with another senior officer. There was a lot to do as a police officer that day. We had our own things we had to do in our own city. We have a very large airport here in Las Vegas. We have a very large tourism community here in Las Vegas. So it was, the state of our community was who was going to be next, what was going to happen next. And of course, more and more reports started to come out that day of things that was happening throughout our nation. So it was a very troublesome time as a new police officer and for any type of first responder for that day. While all those things were happening for us, of course, we were getting all the news reports of the first responders that were in New York City and in other areas going into the buildings and trying to rescue people and losing their lives and things like that. So it was a day that will never be forgotten for me. It was, of course, a day that will never be forgotten for our nation. So that's where I was on September 11, 2001.
My memory of September 11th, I was in 5th grade. I was going to John R. Beatty Elementary School, and I was 10 years old. My mom woke me up and it was already on the news, and I can just remember it just seemed like a dark day everywhere. My family's originally from New York, so not the city but upstate New York, so we were thinking about our family that was still living back there. And you know, as a kid, you fail to see the grand scheme of it all until you grow up, and here we are 18 years later, and it's the greatest tragedy that we've gone through as a nation. I just remember as being a young kid, seeing the first responders, you know, always knowing that that's what I wanted to be when I grew up as well, seeing those heroes go in, having family members myself that were in law enforcement. You know, I just always looked up to them, and you just see all the people that gave their lives for those innocent people that were in those towers and trying to save anyone they could.